Right, this is the second part of the video making a pattern from a basic bodice block using that Excel spreadsheet, etc. We'd already done the back panel. We're going to have a look at the front now and how you do that. So if you look at it, the front panel, which I'll trace quickly with my cursor, goes obviously around here. That is the front panel, and there are two massive darts in this that basically shape the bust effectively at the front. Okay, that's the bust line there, and that's the centre nipple point, half anyway. Okay, so we've got to try and, because we can't use darts as we know with latex, we've got to try and get rid of these darts or reposition them, etc, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a point under the arm to reposition this dart. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a line. What colour is this going to be? Who knows? Anybody's guess. Right, to about, we'll go to about there. Excuse me, hay fever. Right, we'll make it dark blue, I think. 2 point rather. Okay, so there's our line. That's where we're going to try and move this dart here down to here, so we're going to keep this all free from darts. So how do we do that? Just bear with me a sec while I construct something and you'll see. So we're going to use this shape tool again, and I'm going to follow some of these points. I'm going to go click, 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 click. Okay. Right. Dark blue. So I'll bend that. Let's bend it out of the way a minute. So can you see? No, you probably can't see at the moment, but let's just move that down like that. There you go. Okay, you might do it a bit more accurately. Can you see? I've just created a shape that follows the arm sky curve, goes down to this point that we've put the split line in, and back up to the dart point. Yeah. So what? You might think, well, what we can do is if we select it, we'll move the centre of rotation of it to there. Imagine this is like a little piece of cardboard. We can rotate it. So we're rotating it from the bust point, and we'll rotate it until it meets the dart. Okay, so we're closing the dart up. We're going from there to there. Yeah, that's big dart. Close the dart up to there. Okay, so we've closed that dart up, and basically we've opened the dart up here by doing that. Okay, so what we can do now is start to construct a bit of a curve, another spline, one of these splines again. We're going from that point there. We won't go through that, we will have to go through that point, but we're going to just do that for now. We'll make it let's make it magenta, 2 point, and we can bend this as you've seen. So we'll bend this curve, and because we want it to go through that bust point, it must go through that bust point. So we'll put it there. Now, you know, we can actually sort of play with these handles as you know you've seen before, and that might come into its own in a bit. But you can see we've now drafted a point that's gone starting up from this dart here, going through the bust point and going round. So that's a new. So we've effectively constructed a panel here that's following that curve up here, shoulder, neckline, back down. That's a panel. We've split this panel into, well, it's only one piece at the moment. We're going to put another one in. So watch this. We're going to do this one. Make this bright green perhaps. So we'll do another one. We'll go from there to there. Okay, does it every time, doesn't it? 2 point, and now we'll bend it like the other one, and again we want to go through that point. Okay, and play with the handles a bit and see what we can achieve with that. Okay, so can you see that we've got another piece now? Because we've got a piece. Let's really thicken them up so you can see. So let's make that temporarily make it 8 points. Okay, so that curve there and that curve there. You see those two curves? So the green one, now up the green curve, then down a little bit the arm sky and down here. That's our panel. We've got a panel in there. That's one panel. And the other panel is up here, across there, down there, and down there. So that's our other panel. So the front we've now made out of two panels. We've split it into two, a bit like we did with the other one. And the theory is if we join these panels, these two curves here, then it'll fill out this and form the bust line. Now, like we did with the others, we've got to make sure that these two curves are the same length. Now, they almost certainly aren't. I mean, they might be, but we'll check. Because if they're not the same length, that will not join nicely, because one will be longer than the other. So let's select that one, and that is 27.7. 27.7. This one is 27.5. Oh, okay, so there's only 0.2 of a centimetre difference between the two, 2 millimetres. Which was the bigger one? That's 27.5. That's 27. So this is a bit bigger, isn't it? So we could adjust this slightly. See if we can do that. It's pretty close, isn't it? I mean, it's probably good enough actually. So we can make this slightly smaller. This is going to be virtually, well, we'll see. 27.65. 27.5. So I think I should. Did I make it bigger? I don't know. I can't remember. Let's see if we can make this one slightly longer. Bear in mind we still want to go. So we're adding a little bit of extra to the curve. That's now 27.6, and this is 27.65. Okay, so there's 0.5 millimetre difference between the two. Nothing. That's it. It's good enough, isn't it? So can you see? Maybe you can't, because actually these are the other dark points that we can just use those as they are. So let's just draw in a couple of, let's draw in the actual panels to hopefully make it a bit more clear for you. So we'll do our spline tool, and I'll just very quickly draw it. So you would do this a bit more accurately, but so we'll go from there to there to there, back down to there. Now I would normally be following, obviously I've got to follow this purple curve, but I'm not going to for now because we're just playing. Well, right, and that's filled in. Right, that's a colour. We'll make that a different colour that we haven't used. Should we make it bright yellow? Will that show up? Yeah. Okay, so bear in mind this one, remember we can bend these curves, so that's bent, and this is also bent, isn't it? So this needs to follow this pink curve, doesn't it? So let's do that. You can do it with copying and stuff like that, but you know, for now we're just gonna, in fact we'll turn off the snapping and we'll eyeball it to get it a bit closer. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Anyway, you get the idea, and we'll move this one to match that one. So can you see that yellow? No, it isn't the panel. I was going to say that's the panel. It's not, is it? Because we've got to do the neckline, haven't we? So that was, remember, that was horizontal, and this one had to go at 90 degrees. But anyway, we're following the red curve, aren't we? So there. Okay, something like that. So let's give that a black outline of 2 points so you can see it. So can you see that is a panel? That's our panel, isn't it? Let's draw the other one. let's use so many colours. Orange, let's use orange. Same sort of thing. We'll use this point here because we'll take in that that dart as well. So from there to there to there and back to there, and that'll close it up, bright orange panel. Okay, so I'm just closing the shape, and then I'm going to bend it to follow, hopefully follow anyway, the curve. Not so easy to do when you, so this is time when it's probably as easy to do it with the handles. You know, we'll have sort of matched that green one back up. And you don't have to do it like this. You can actually use the original curves, of course, to sort of copy, but I'm just doing it to try and show where the panels are, which is about there, isn't it? Something like that. Okay, this one I've come out of the command. There you go. Whoops, undo. Go back there. Right, so we'll bend. This one's got a curve in it, hasn't it? So that's got to follow that red curve, hasn't it? Which is there. And that's about it, isn't it? So can you see that we've now split the front panel into two pieces, the yellow and the orange piece, but we've made sure that the curve here is the same length as the curve here, so when you join that it will match. But we've also eliminated the darts. We've got a dart here and we've got a dart at the bottom, which was the big dart, so that will have the same surface area effectively of material, but it will produce a three-dimensional shape. So can you see now we're kind of seeing our four pieces, aren't we? Shall I just how long are we doing for the video? 12 minutes, that's okay. Let's just do the other pieces. You know, you would take your time and accurately do this, and you could use the original curves to do it, but I'm just going to do it very, very crudely. Let's pick another colour. Let's pick a dark blue for this. So we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm very crudely tracing this using the key points and back down to there, and that'll fill it. No, it won't. It'll fill it in when I close it up like that. This is a curve. This is a curve. And that's a curve as well, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we've got to just pull it back to these curves. Now, as I say, you would actually use the original curves. I've actually I'm just sketching over them again just to show very quickly and crudely where the panels are more than anything. So that obviously has to come to match that, which is going to be a much harder job than I thought actually, because I've probably not got enough points on this, but you get the idea. Right, yeah, pull that back there. Is it down there? Something like that. Something like that. Okay, that's good enough for our purposes. No, it isn't. We've got to do the neckline. We'll just pull the neckline. Oops, just added an extra control point by doing that. Undo. This software you can add new control points by clicking on the original line, so you can make the, you can play with the line and stuff. Because I made those lines quite thick, didn't I? So you're not accounting for the thickness of the line. Anyway, there you go. That gives you an idea. So there's that panel, and then the final panel will have as a cyan, I think, and of course that panel goes from. Let's do it the other way around. We go from there to there to there to there and back to there. Probably should go to there, shouldn't I? But anyway, never mind, we'll do it that way. There's our panel. We've got to bend it, haven't we, to sort of about there, that kind of thing, isn't it? Well, let's sort of that, say that kind of thing. Let's do it a little bit more accurate than that. Let's do something like that. We do need extra points really, and that's something like that. I'm literally just trying to show you where the pieces are. So there's our four pieces. Okay, So if you'd taken your time, you would have ended up with these pieces. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so there's our 4 pieces that obviously are 1-to-1 full size, and we could actually print them off. There's still a lot more to do check wise. I mean, for example, so there still need to be a bit of tweaking going on. For example, that shoulder, if we let's do this, if we made sure, if we pull that to that corner point there like that roughly, yeah, it's not super accuracy, is it? And then we'll move the center of rotation to there. Okay, and that, when we rotate that round like that, they should match, shouldn't they? And it's slightly off, isn't it? But not much. Can you see there's a slight little gap there? So it's not quite right, so we'd have to slightly adjust that, but it's not too far off. So we can check certain things as we on here before we actually produce the paper pattern. But anyway, there you go. That's a fairly quick run through of how you create a winged seam from a basic block, chopping out the panels, so you end up where you start off with 2 panels front and back, and you end up with 4, each one split twice, the front one being the difficult one because you've got this. But what we've done is we've put this seam under the arm. Now you can also put the seam up the top if you want, but if you put it under the arm, it's quite a good place to put it, because it means then that this yellow bit is a single piece of latex, which means that you haven't got any seams here, so you can chop away at this. You know, you could put a you could put a sort of nice kind of neckline. Let's make that black. It already is black, is it? You know, you could put a nice neckline down there. That is one hell of a neckline, isn't it? But you know what I mean. You could now start to sort of play with this. Remember, that needs to be at right angles. Just about there, isn't it? You know, something like that. You could chop all of that out, couldn't you? And play around with that, free of seams. That's the beauty of it, you know. So you can now play around with this. So we did this, we produced this garment here, and it fit perfectly. Didn't need any modification to it whatsoever, because I spent the time here to tune it correctly in the first place. And then we've gone on to make other garments off this. Right, well, anyway, hopefully that was of some use. If there's obviously things I haven't done. There's loads you can do with this, and there's loads more advanced tweaks you can make, but ultimately, because it's latex, it's quite forgiving. So, you know, for example, I think when we made the garment, we didn't bother with these darts. We left that vertical, didn't even put those in because it's stretchy. It didn't make any difference really, etc. So it's a basic thing. There's lots, if you read any books on pattern making, there's some really complicated tweaks you can make to these, but you have to remember that they're all pretty much designed around fabrics, not rubber, so we can get away with a bit more. Anyway, hopefully that was some use, and if you've got any comments, obviously leave them, feel free to leave them. Right, thanks very much, bye.